Band, Patriot Singers, TV Productions, Voices of Freedom, Seminole County Sheriff's Department, and the Commemorative Air Force in our salute to veterans. Please rise. The Voices of Freedom will now sing our national anthem.
Yeah, I just need to take a step back.
Alright.
It's terrible.
You shot?
Yeah.
Start moving, trucking it. Step. Slowly. And to the left as you move.
Yeah, suck balls.
We would like to recognize our branches of military service represented by each service flag and the cadets wearing the uniform of that branch of service. The Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Air Force. We also have cadets carrying flags representative of our early heritage. The Grand Union, our Continental flag, the Bennington flag, the Betsy Ross flag, the 15-star Star-Spangled Banner flag, and the 34-star Civil War flag. Cadets are carrying flags representing veterans from all 50 states, our national capital, and flags representative of some of our country's major engagements: World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and our prisoners of war and those missing in action. Our cadet exhibition rifle flight wishes to express their appreciation to our veterans with a special rifle routine.
Thank you, Rifle Team.
Thank you, Rifle Team, and all of our cadets. Thank you, Voices of Freedom, Patriot Singers, and all our support to our Veterans for America. We observe Veterans Day on an anniversary, not of a great battle or the beginning of a war, but of a day when war ended and our nation was again at peace. Ever since the armistice of November the 11th, 1918, this has been a day to remember our debt to all who have worn the uniform of the United States of America. Throughout our history, loyal citizens from every corner of America have willingly assumed the duty of military life. And time after time, in conflicts across the globe, they have proven that democracy is mightier than tyranny. From World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Persian Gulf, to the recent battles in Iraq and Afghanistan, our military has built a great tradition of courageous and faithful service. Free nations and people liberated by American troops are grateful for the long, distinguished line of American veterans who have come to their aid. Today, more than 23 million Americans wear the proud title of veteran. Our veterans include more than 9 million men and women from the Korean and Vietnam era, and over 2 million living Americans who served in World War II. 109-year-old Frank Buckles of West Virginia is the last American survivor of World War I, which ended 92 years ago today. Every veteran has his or her own story to tell. Today, we want to focus on 2 eras and tell their story. The first story is monumental and sky high. I want to tell you of the exploits of a native Floridian, a veteran who lives right here in Altamont Springs, Colonel Joseph Kittinger. Colonel Kittinger graduated from Bowles High School in Jacksonville and from the University of Florida. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1950 at Las Vegas. From 1950 to 1953, he was a jet pilot in the 86th Fighter Bomber Squadron in Germany. In 1957, while assigned to the Air Force Missile Development Center in New Mexico, he made a balloon flight of 96,000 feet as part of the Air Force's Project Man High. He was later appointed as test director of Project Excelsior, which investigated high-altitude escapes. In 1960, Colonel Kittinger accomplished a world record 102,800-foot high altitude jump from a balloon-supported gondola. Ladies and gentlemen, that is over 19.5 miles high. He was in free fall for 4.5 minutes at speeds up to 714 miles an hour and temperatures as low as negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition to the altitude record, he set records for longest free fall and fastest man without an aircraft. Colonel Kenninger volunteered for 3 combat tours in Vietnam. He was commander of the famous triple nickel 555th Tactical Fighter Squadron flying F-4s. He downed a MiG-21 before he himself was shot down. He then spent almost a year in captivity as a prisoner of war. After he retired from the Air Force, he served as an engineer at Martin Marietta. In 1984, he accomplished a most ambitious feat, a solo balloon crossing of the Atlantic Ocean. He traveled over 3,500 miles in 3.5 days. He set a record for the longest solo balloon flight as well as a distance record. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Colonel Joe Kittinger and his lovely wife, Sherry. Please stand, sir. I mentioned 2 eras and 2 stories. The next story is that of the Tuskegee Airmen of World War II. These airmen were dedicated, determined young men who became America's first black military airmen at a time when there were many who thought that black men lacked intelligence, skill, courage, and patriotism. They came in large numbers from all over America. Each one possessed a strong personal desire to serve the United States of America to the best of his ability. Those who possessed the physical and mental qualifications were accepted as aviation cadets and trained as pilots and navigators, bombardiers, meteorologists, intel officers, engineers, and medical officers. Enlisted members were trained as aircraft and engine mechanics, armament specialists, and all the other necessary skills to fully function as an Army Air Corps flying squadron or ground support unit. The black airmen who became single-engine or multi-engine pilots were trained at Tuskegee Army Airfield in Tuskegee, Alabama. One of the 5 who successfully completed training in the initial class was Captain Benjamin O. Davis, a West Point graduate. His father was the first African-American to earn the rank of general. Years later, he followed in his father's footsteps and also attained the rank of general. From 1942 through 1946, 992 pilots graduated from Tuskegee. 450 Tuskegee pilots served overseas in combat. Initially, they flew the P-40 Warhawk aircraft in North Africa, Sicily, and Italy. The 332nd Fighter Group became the only 4-squadron fighter group performing long-range, heavy bomber escort missions out of Ramitelli Air Base, now flying the P-51 Mustang. This was a significant factor in the effectiveness and success of the group, as it established the incredible and unprecedented record of flying over 200 bomber escort missions without the loss of a single bomber to enemy aircraft. On their way to Berlin, they destroyed the first 3 German Me-262 jet fighters of the war and damaged 5 other Me-262 jets along the way. Again, no bombers or fighters were lost to enemy aircraft. The tenacious bomber escort of the 332nd Red Tail fighters often discouraged enemy fighter pilots from attacking. Of the 450 Tuskegee Airmen in combat, 66 died in battle and over 850 medals were awarded. Each one accepted the challenge, proudly displayed his skill and determination while suppressing internal rage from humiliation and indignation caused by frequent experiences of racism and bigotry at home and overseas. These airmen fought 2 wars, one against a military force overseas and the other against racism at home and abroad. We are extremely grateful to the Tuskegee Airmen for all they suffered and accomplished for the cause of freedom and a love of America. Ladies and gentlemen, we are extremely privileged to have in our presence today representatives from the Tuskegee Airmen, Chapter President Toby Hubbard, Vice President Amasitia Maloon Gibson, and original Tuskegee Airman Charles Doc Holliday. Please stand so that we can recognize you. Thank you so much. We are ever grateful. Colonel Hubbard is president of the chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen. He served over 22 years in the Air Force, was assigned at Patrick Air Force Base, was director of staff at the 45th Space Wing, was stationed at the Air Force Academy. He is currently the business operations manager for Zell Technologies. Colonel Ceta Malone Gibson, the vice president for the chapter, served 29 years in the Army. She is president and founder of ATIC and is also serving her 3rd year on the Executive Board of Directors on Christian Services Charities. She is a professional speaker and has authored and co-authored 6 books, recently the bestseller Stepping Stones to Success. Doc Holliday is an original Tuskegee Airman, world-renowned hero from World War II. His title speaks for itself. Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and honoring us today. We have other veterans here today that we want to recognize. Veterans right here among us every day. We have 95 former Lake Brantley cadets who are now serving or have served in the armed forces. We also have numerous spouses who serve, parents, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, grandparents. Mrs. Williams' son Brian is a West Point grad, combat veteran, and Ranger School selectee. We want to recognize our Lake Brantley faculty veterans who have served in the armed forces. Please stand as we call your name. From the United States Army, Coach Bruce Byers from the Social Studies Department, retired Major, 23 years in the Army. From our Security Department, Mr. Eddie Camarino, who served as a combat medic in the Army. From the Math Department, Miss Maureen Collins, who was a captain in the Army and a West Point graduate. Mr. Parker Daniels in the Business Department, who served in the Army during Vietnam. From Facilities, Mr. Ron Lovett, who served over 21 years in the Army. Mr. Mark Warka from our Grounds and Maintenance Department served over 34 years in the Army National Guard. And finally, from the Army, our German teacher, Mr. Brad Willis, served in the Army for 4 years. We have 2 representatives from the United States Navy. From the Math Department, Mr. Ed Kosky, who served in the Navy during Vietnam. And from the Business Department, Coach Mike Smith, also served in the Navy during Vietnam. We have Mr. John Muir, Russian language specialist who teaches honors economics, served in the Air Force. And from the Aerospace Science ROTC Department, Senior Master Sergeant retired, Mauricio Ferrero, who served in the Air Force for over 21 years, Vietnam, Panama, Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And finally, from the Aerospace Science ROTC Department, Major Retired Mark Watts from the Air Force, serving in the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the Pentagon, Operation Eagle Claw, Missile Combat Crew, Desert Shield, Desert Storm. The Patriot Band will now afford a medley of patriotic and service songs entitled A Salute to America's Finest. Veterans, please stand when you hear your service song.
Thank you, Seminole County Sheriff's Department, our bugler. Mrs. Williams, the Air Force senior.
In addition to the altitude record, he set record for longest free fall and fastest man without an aircraft. Colonel Kenninger were accepted as aviation cadets and trained at Tuskegee Airmen Charles Doc Holliday. Two time-honored traditions we hold to which affords the highest respect and homage: the gun salute and taps. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and remain standing while the Seminole County Sheriff's Department pays tribute to all veterans with a gun salute.
Mr. and Mrs. Williams, the Air Force Junior ROTC staff, members of our band, Patriot Singers.